I understand, as any history, it has been surrounded by many myths.
In the beginning in India, about 13 centuries ago, chess was played by 4 opponents with dice. It was called chaturanga.
Chess was born in India and then traveled westward to Persia and then through Arab countries to the Iberian Peninsula in what was Spain at that time.
The myths all go to a game being invented by a person. In fact, what almost certainly happened was chess being invented over a century's time, maybe 2 centuries' time, by a series of people, most of whom didn't know one another, merchants on the Silk Road, traveling back and forth, a lot of time on their hands.
What we know for sure that in the 16th and 17th century, chess through Spain had entered Europe and was played at some European courts. And at that time, the game was dominated by Spanish and Italian players. They made the first major contribution to the game of chess and created mostly the rules and the first ideas how to handle the game of chess.
The easiest way to look at chess, it's a war. There are 2 armies fighting each other. It's a game of intimidation.
Psychological warfare.
You have the king. You have the king's chief of staff, now known as the queen.
Originally in India, Persia, and Arabia, she was male and weak. But she changed sex in Europe in the Middle Ages.
The queen is the most powerful and the most valuable piece on the chessboard.
You've got the pawns, the little people who are getting sacrificed early on. Then you go beyond that and you say, no, it's not just about war. This is actually a game of power relationships between players on each side.
I fear the queen is powerless now.
The queen is never powerless. For example.
And then you go beyond that and you see, no, this is actually a game of space. It's actually a game of geometry. You have all these different squares, you have all these different routes that people can take.
And then trying to give up this pawn, so if the white pawn captures it, then the black bishop would be free to retreat.
Then you go beyond that and you say, no, this is actually a game of trying to anticipate what the other player is going to do, or in fact, what you would do in reaction to all these possible moves on the other side. Chess is more than anything a game of will to win, a game of need to win.
There were all different types of chess players. You know, there were artists and sportsmen and competitors and fighters and gamblers or whatever.
You are putting yourself in a world that is infinite. It's abstract. You are, in essence, reshaping your mind.
I didn't see that at all.
Queen. The total number of unique possible chess games, considering all the different possible moves and how long all chess games could go on, and it is 10 to the 120th power, or 1,000 trillion, 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 trillion games.
That's why it's probably the only game which had survived centuries and still is very much alive.
You can spend your whole life, do nothing else but study the game, and you are not going to touch even a sliver of chess's magnificent, almost infinite potential.